All right, what is up, sports fans? We are back for another episode of The Fan and the End. I'm your host, as always, Stephen Rychel. To the right of me, the big man himself, Mr. Ben Troupe, is with us, and down below is the man on the mic, Marvin on the mic, Mr. Marvin Powell III. Appreciate the guys joining us. Obviously, a little bit of late start, a little bit of miscommunication with myself and Pat Combs. I think there's a time zone difference, so he should be joining us in roughly about 30 minutes or so. So we should have some fun with that. But as per usual, all our episodes here on The Fan in the End is brought to you by Fight Wax. Fight Wax is the ultimate skincare product. It helps treats cuts, swelling, scrapes, abrasions, rejuvenates, and restores stressed skin. Consumers have used for soreness, stiffness, recovery, designed for athletes and all active lifestyles. Your key benefits is providing an ultra silky, non-greasy feel, deep hydration for everyday skincare. Help fight dry skin. Customers have used for eczema, psoriasis, and other skin disorders, guys. And when you do place your orders, make sure you use that code South15FW. Show some love for everyone here, and show some love to Fight Wax. Now, let's kind of dive into some things here. Obviously, lots of stuff going on in the sports world. And we had the combine this past week, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. Who stood out to you? Whose stock went up? Whose stock went down? Let's kick this one off with Marvin.
Oh man, there is a linebacker out of Ohio State. I think it's Sonny Styles is his name, and this guy, I think he was number one in like 3 or 4 categories at the combine for linebackers. He's a 6'4" linebacker. I know he's projected to go in the mid first round. He's a top 5 linebacker overall for the most part, and I believe at 240 pounds, 6'4", I believe he ran a 4.4. And which is, I mean, really impressive. Now, typically, I'm a guy who thinks they definitely overvalue the 40-yard dash. I do. I understand why they do it, but to me, there's really 2 things you need to understand. Number one, what does the film say? Number 2, what do his coaches and teammates say? And then if you want to take it to the third level of questioning is the men who this person played against. I understand, the NFL Combine was put together because these guys, these NFL teams, they're investing a lot of money into these players. So they want to evaluate the guy physically. I get that. My dad was telling me how in 1977, the Jets drafted Wesley Walker out of Cal. He was a wide receiver. And the Jets did not know that he was completely blind in his left eye until he showed up in the building. All right. And for reasons like that, they have the combine where you can get close to the player, sit down with him, bring your doctors in, go through his medical history, make sure everything's good, set up other visits as well. But the combine makes sense. But I think the 40-yard dash is something that they really overvalue. Again, Sonny Styles, and I hope I'm getting his name right. He was a phenomenal player. So he's a guy who, when you watch his film, you see his speed show up. In those situations, it becomes relevant, but, we've seen too many sports fans, players, coaches, scouts. We've seen too many guys go out there, run a 4.4, and, they out there looking like Tarzan, playing like Jane, So, yeah, Sonny Styles, Ohio State linebacker, he really had a day. This is a guy who I think he went from mid-first round to a potential top 10 pick, if not higher, just off of that, because what you see, in his measurables, they show up on the field, and that's just outstanding. So, and I think you had a few guys, obviously, we didn't get a chance to see Fernando Mendoza's throw. I don't know that he needed to. The reality is this guy went up against tough defenses all year long, and he put the ball on the money in real time, in the game, cold out there in Indiana, pressure down his throat. He's dropping dimes. So, I wasn't really upset about that. I will honestly say that this year I didn't watch as much combine as I used to. I'm a guy who I was a kid. I used to watch it like it was a cartoon. I used to love it. I mean, it was, I guess, your favorite movie. I was that kid. But yeah, you had a couple of guys get out there this year and show what they can do. Probably improve their draft stock. And, it's just another opportunity for guys to go out there and compete one more time for a higher draft position.
Ben, your thoughts? Combine.
Man, Sonny Styles is actually 6'5". That's why it was even crazier. His brother, Lorenzo Styles Jr., ran a 4.2. Their dad played linebacker. I think he won a Super Bowl with the Saints. Not the Saints. He won a Super Bowl with the Rams, the greatest show on turf back in '99. The best player in the draft showed is Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love just told everybody, y'all better stop playing with me. Jeremiah Love has been the best running back in college football the last 2 years running. He went out there and ran a 4.37 and a 4.36, which means me running away from guys is because I'm really fast. Because he did it a lot at Notre Dame. And the one thing Jeremiah Love is to get the love for is bringing attention back to the running back position. We talk about the Sadiq kid out of freaking Oregon. He ran a 4.39, 6'3", 245 pounds. If fast guys gonna run fast, strong guys gonna lift heavy, explosive guys gonna jump high. If the tape don't match the athlete, that's the problem. That's what I be saying. I go, okay, that running back running the 4.3, why he keep on getting caught? Well, is the guy chasing him running the 4.2? That's what the combine. Why do D linemen run 40s? Why do O linemen run? If a D lineman, is running 40 yards, that's not good. He's chasing somebody. Now that 10-yard split, I get it, because you got to run that loop. I appreciate the fact that Fernando Mendoza used his leverage to say, I'm not. Look, if I haven't showed y'all I can play by now, what is me coming out here in shorts, throwing the receivers I never met gonna do? I can only hurt myself. I'm gonna let the criticism happen when I'm at home. Pro days are what I put more stock in, because this is your home. That's like growing up with the kid that got the basketball goal in the neighborhood. Of course you can't beat him because he can hit trick shots. I shoot on this goal all the time, man. You ain't gonna beat me. So I'm looking forward to the pro days, but this was one of the most impressive classes you ever seen, top to bottom. These guys, they came to put on a show. I know the Styles brothers did their thing, but so did the running backs, so did the receivers, so did the linebackers, so did the D linemen. There's a tight end that went to Tennessee. I'm not gonna call his name. He ran a 4.91 the first time. He ran a 4.91. So you people, so Rich Eisen and Daniel Jeremiah, they're thinking, okay, of course he's gonna run a faster one the second time. Second time he ran a 4.94, and obviously, because I guess you can look up and see what your time was. And he said, well, anybody would say, what the, yeah, bro, like 4.9. I mean, do I expect tight ends to be running, 4.4s? No, even though the Sadiq kid is a freak. Being a freak at a combine doesn't mean that you're gonna be a freak in the league, and that's the only thing about the combine that. It's a spectacle. You love it. Dion gonna show his face when the DBs get there. Rich Eisman gonna do the run. A lot of things going on, right? A lot of things going on. But
I want to ask you, because you were just talking about some of the tight ends. What do you thought about Kenyon Sadiq's 4.40?
It actually was a 4.39. It was okay. The freakiest tight ends. It's my freakiest talent I've ever seen. What, 3? Because of what they did. Now, Sadiq, I ain't never seen that. But Vernon Davis ran a 4.3 too. He ran like a 4.38. Vernon Davis, here's the difference. Vernon Davis was 6'3", 254, and he ran like a 4.39 or something. Sadiq, he's 245, 6'3", so he's a lot leaner, than a lot lighter. I wouldn't say leaner, a lot lighter. But that's impressive. Now, here's the thing, though. Does he play like that? I know he had like 9 touchdowns last year at Oregon, because the best tight ends we ever seen, Gronk wasn't running no. Gronk was probably a 4.7 dude. Travis Kelce probably a 4.6 dude. And with the tight end being what it has become over the years, yeah, you're gonna play and plug that guy, and hopefully you can run your offense through him. But it was impressive to watch a lot of these dudes. Like it really was. Yeah. I think Sadiq is only like 20 years old. He ain't even 21 years old.
And he's the real deal, too.
He is.
Here's the thing. My delusional butt dog, the Eagles might have a chance to get him, right? Yeah, not after that. He's going to be a top 10 pick. I guarantee.
I was at the combine with Kellen Winslow, who didn't do anything. I didn't do anything either. But Ben Watson. Okay. I was there with Ben Watson from Georgia. Ben Watson was about as impressive of an athlete Number one, he ran like a 4.5. He ran like a 4.5 40. That's already ridiculous. He's about 6'3", about 255. Ben Watson did 35 reps on the bench, and he racked it. He got 34, 35, and he ain't nobody touch it. So, but it's what he did. So you have to announce yourself. When you go on the bench, you have to say, he said Benjamin Watson. Number one, let me tell you what I appreciated. Most guys named Benjamin, people call us Ben, which is fine. But at the combine, he said Benjamin Watson, tight end, University of Georgia. And people were talking. And he waited. And he said, Benjamin Watson. And everybody was like, stop playing with me. I need all eyes on me. This dude got the 20 and he's going. He got the 25 and he's going. He get the 30. He get the 35. They go 34. He go 35 and he rack it. He gets up off the bench and he looks at everybody like yeah. Then to show he got so the Wonderlic, which they don't make a big thing about it anymore. It's 50 questions. To this day, I don't know what I got on it. It probably wasn't good. I don't even remember these questions. This boy got a 49. Listen, Ben Watson got a 49 out of 50. So when someone asked him, hey, dude, why didn't you get a 50 out of 50? He said, I only had time to do 49 questions. I didn't get to the 50. I said, dude, please lead this dude. He stuck. So I'm just, to the young man out of Texas A&M, KC, dude, keep doing your thing, young. And the one that everybody has something to say because he stutter, what is wrong with us? So I have a stuttering problem. I have a speech impediment, and y'all trying to clown me about it. They clown, he was up there trying to answer questions. I'm happy. I hope that some billion-dollar organization gets behind this young man to be the face of this. You pay him millions of dollars just to stand up there and talk. Because when I got ready for the draft, I was in Kenner, Louisiana, which is a suburb of freaking New Orleans. I trained with Tom Shaw. We did more interview prep than the gauntlet and all that kind of stuff because it's so important to be able to sit in front of these coaches and GMs and presidents and assistant coaches, head coaches to sell yourself. I remember I was in there with the freaking Vikings. This one, Mike Tice was the head coach of the Vikings. And I mean, I'm like you, Marv. I know what these teams are doing or really not doing. And he in there talking. I'm like, and I'm being respectful. I'm like, hey, man, I'm 21. I'm not going to say anything crazy, but I'm like, you talking real big. Like, I mean, the Vikings don't, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, then I'm like, bro, like, you Mike Tice, right? Like, yeah, you coach the Vikings, right? Yeah. I said, you got Randy Moss and Chris Carter. Y'all still losing. Like, I mean, I love to come there. Love to play in the dome. But let's not get it twisted. Like, we know who the good teams are. So some of these, and I think that some of these players who are going high, they be bombing some of these interviews so they don't get picked. I know what they're doing. Some of these dudes, they're like, hey, man, like the Browns, people probably bombing them. The Jets, they shouldn't do that, but they are because they're like,
you had to throw the Jets in there, take the shot at Marvin.
Because I got Marv on. If Kyler Murray isn't a Jet, I just see him with I see that young man and seeing what it's like to have the bright lights. I see Kyler Murray being a Jet, and I see Tua being a Falcon. I could be wrong, but I
don't. You want Tua on the Falcons?
No. Well, I say it like this. It's not so much I want him, Marv. I got Michael Penix. And it's like both left-handed, right? Here's the thing. Kevin Stefanski is only a good coach when he got a decent quarterback. You notice that, right? He's not a good coach without a decent quarterback. Ain't nobody talking about him. It's not so much I want Tua. Okay, Marv, we go to the restaurant and we order a steak, and all they got is a Tua or a Mike Penix. What you ordering? I'm not saying both choices.
I'm gonna put this out there. All right, we're bringing up Kyler Murray. They did inform him he's gonna be released. His exit post to the Arizona Cardinals fan base was actually beautiful. He basically apologized to the fan base. He wanted to truly be the guy to break the curse down there in Arizona. But I did hear a couple rumors. I did hear the Jets and us three. We'd already talked about that a few weeks ago. I also heard that he could wind up in Atlanta.
Now, Kyler Murray. Now, I've heard that too. But here's the thing about Atlanta. decision makers that y'all ain't had to deal with. I've had to deal with. Atlanta decision makers. I'm talking about the Hawks. I'm talking about the Braves. I'm talking about the Falcons. I mean, Marv, you know basketball. Marv, you know basketball. If the Lakers would have drafted Luka, if the Lakers would have drafted Luka, right? You'd have been that's a good pick, right? That's a great pick. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't have traded him for Trae Young, would they? They wouldn't have done that, right? That's what the Hawks did. The Hawks drafted Luka Doncic, and
Speaking of the Hawks, what do you think of, if Steve, you don't mind?
No, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
What do you think about the Atlanta Hawks having Magic City night on March 16th, celebrating? What do you think about that? Let me leave with this. Okay. I look at it. I'm gonna give you the 43-year-old, a lot more mature. Married. It's crazy. It's crazy when I saw it. But thank you.
It's crazy. It is crazy. But I will say this, Marv, you living in Atlanta. Atlanta is people don't understand how cultured Atlanta is. They will stick to. I'm not saying it's a good thing either. Now I'm saying that is how strong strip clubs are in Atlanta. I'm talking about the downtown. Once again, I am not saying it's good. I'm not. Like Magic City in Atlanta is like cheesesteaks in Philly. It is just a part. Check this out. This is no lie. The mayor of Atlanta, he went to Georgia Tech. This is a Georgia Tech man. When he was going through, he was trying to get elected. They asked him about Magic City and the strip club. And he said, man, listen. He said, man, it's about as much as a part of Atlanta culture as MLK. And no one bat an eye. Now, once again, let me say this again. I am not saying it is right. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's right. It's Atlanta. It is people saying, do you really think that if T.I. saw 50 Cent, he'll try to fight him? Yeah. I'm not saying he's going to win. I didn't say he's going to win the fight. Atlanta, people from Atlanta, you got the state of Georgia and you got Atlanta. Like, think about this, Marv. Have you ever noticed if you outside the state of Georgia, you tell people and you hear somebody say, wait, if you wouldn't say this, but if somebody said, where you from? You say, I'm from Georgia. Are you from Atlanta? Everybody knows Atlanta in the state of Georgia. They don't even know that other cities exist in the state of Georgia. The Magic City thing to me is wild because they're actually going through with it. Yeah. Like, I thought, hey, man, this ain't going to get no real publicity right now. This is happening. Like, we ain't just talking about the chicken wings. We talking about, whatever the number one stripper is in Atlanta is, she coming out. Look. I've gone through my going to the strip club phase. I ain't gonna act like I was above it. I did. But I will say this: Miami, Fort Lauderdale, parts of Carolina that no one even knows. I mean, these country strippers, no one cares. The mecca of stripping is Atlanta. And I've been to Houston. I've been to Houston. I'm just telling you. Let me say this too. This is a family show. I am not saying y'all. Listen, I respect whatever you want to do, but for those who don't know outside of Atlanta, Magic City is serious, man. It shouldn't be as serious as it is. It shouldn't be. But the NBA don't even know what it's really doing. You're shining light on something that this is the second largest pro sports league in the world, or in America. We got Magic City Day, and to the player that came out and said something, I've seen Shannon Sharp and I've seen Chad Ocho and Joe Johnson. Look, let me say this again, because my pastor, my bishop might watch this show. All I'm saying is, if you ask the average person, no, that's not good. You ask the average young black man in Atlanta about Magic City. Either he's going today, or he's looking forward to going. Because they push it like that. They push it. And look, I know people gonna say, Ben, you lying. They got some good food, boy. I'm
not gonna lie. Like I hear about it.
This is how crazy it is, Stephen. This is how crazy it is.
That's what I always hear.
Stephen, this is how crazy it is.
The strip clubs got good food.
They got. I don't know if strip clubs do. I know Magic City do. I don't know if strip clubs do. But they got. There are churches. No. There are pastors at churches that will go to Magic City. Listen, to just eat the food. They got their wife with them. It's look, man. If I wasn't from Georgia and understood it would sound crazy to me. I think the NBA. Now here's the thing. I bet you they've been trying to do this now, but somebody said, listen, Adam Silver's smart now. That dude understands stuff that he probably shouldn't. I'm not saying he should do it. But this is what's not being said, Marv. This is what's not being said.
I'm gonna make you guys have an impossible choice right now.
You don't think Houston feel the type of way? You ain't gonna think Miami gonna feel the type of way? You ain't gonna think
Ben. In the day and age of Epstein Island, it is absolutely ignorant that any executive for the Atlanta Hawks would sign off on celebrating a strip club when, as we do research into Epstein Island and understand sex trafficking, and this is not specific to this establishment, but you understand the amount of women who are trafficked through these type of entities. Okay. Absolutely. And when I heard it, and then we talk about celebrating culture. There are a lot of aspects of a lot of cultures that you shouldn't be proud of, Yeah. And of all the wonderful entrepreneurs and civil rights leaders, we just buried Jesse Jackson, for crying out loud. For all the people who have stepped up in Atlanta and have something to be proud of, I think it is a complete swing and miss and just a disaster of a decision to celebrate.
They're gonna regret it now. They're gonna regret it, Marv. Listen, think about this, Marv. We have to live long enough to kind of see who we were before. I got to listen. This Marv got to look back at young Marv and go, dude, I was doing. You know what I'm saying? Like I was doing it. So, but here's the thing, right? Some of these executives, they want to be liked. So I don't understand that. They want to be liked so bad, not realizing that, bro, you could just say no. Because when you say no, it's over. I can deal with the backlash.
And Ben, I'm not knocking strippers. I'm not knocking none of that in regards to how people make their money and how people want to entertain.
It just shouldn't be celebrated at an NBA game. No, it really shouldn't.
That's crazy.
I mean,
people get fired for that.
Speaking of crazy, I'm going to pose an impossible choice on you guys.
Okay,
you're gonna sort of hate me for this, but I still love y'all, right? So I came across this graphic, right? And this is an impossible question. I realize this, right? So we have a lot of great leagues and sports and things of that nature, right? So I came across this, right? Now, obviously, the thing is you can only pick 3, right? Now you have March Madness, NBA playoffs, WNBA playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs, college football playoffs, NFL playoffs, Major League postseason, College World Series, Wimbledon World Cup, Olympics, and the Masters, right? So basically, all our big postseason for your major sports thrown in with a couple outliers, I guess you would say. You have to cut 9 and keep 3. So out of NCAA basketball, NBA playoffs, WNBA playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs, college football playoffs, NFL playoffs, Major League postseason, College World Series, Wimbledon World Cup, Olympics, and Masters.
Easy.
All right, so Marvin said easy, right? So I'm going to go right to Marvin. Where are you feeling on this? Who's your 3 out of that list of what, 12?
First of all, off top, if you know me, give me that foosball. Okay,
I already knew you were going college.
College and pro. Okay, off top. Okay, and then from there, I was looking at the Olympics, right? But I was like, nah, give me that World Cup. I lived in Miami for 15 years, and I lived through 2 or 3 World Cups. And I'm going to tell you something, man. You get soccer fever when it's World Cup time and you're in a city where they really celebrate the sport. That World Cup is huge. I mean, that's a big deal. I love watching the highest level of these athletes compete, and they get after it, man. I mean, soccer is a very physical game. These are phenomenal athletes. You have the best of the best represented at the World Cup. and it's just super competitive. And I just love watching those guys get at it. So yeah, give me football, give me soccer.
So college football playoffs, NFL playoffs, and the World Cup.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Ben? That's a list of 12, and you can only keep 3.
Okay. You already know NFL playoffs is in there. Like I ain't missing that. As a person, I'm gonna go a little different than Marvin. As a person, my first love was track, and then football became that. Like, to me, the Olympics. Listen to me, man. You got to do this. You got to do this every 4 years. So if I don't win, I got to hopefully be good enough. I got to do the Olympics, right? And my number 3, I know this is crazy, because the college football playoffs is relatively new, kind of. March Madness, man. Golly, it's so crazy to me. I love what make March Madness crazy. I'm living in Jersey. Warren Buffett says, I will give $1 billion to a perfect bracket. You got people that don't even watch basketball putting in these brackets. What make March Madness, it's the perfect word, man. I mean, it's so crazy. So NFL playoffs, yes. The Olympics, because it's something about track and field. It's something about, because you get so many sports, the best players. Now, the World Cup almost made it because it's different. But, yeah, I would go NFL playoffs, the Olympics, and March Madness because –
So I'm just slightly different. Because I really think the NHL playoffs is always something special to watch. Obviously, NFL playoffs is my number one, just like all of us is, right? But I'm also with you on the Olympics. It's not just that, I mean, basically we get it every 2 years between summer and winter, right? So yeah. We have a little flexibility, and we just got done doing the Olympics here. So not just the idea, but being able to do what you're best at and represent your country, regardless of how you feel about your government, whatever. And it's not just for the United States. You got people all over the world that don't really care for their government, where they live, where they were born. Some people, they tend to leave and not represent their country and whatever. There's people that live in other countries and they go back and follow their roots and do their respective sport for their country while they're living in other ones. So I think that's what kind of makes it special, not just and we're seeing more events being added every year to both winter and summer games. We're going to get freaking flag football at some point in time over the next 4 years.
We do.
So, I mean, I always felt like boxing is definitely one I think I always tuned into. Even though Olympic boxing hasn't quite been what it's been, just because a lot of these guys want to go after those prize purses, and it's just the way the world works. It's not Olympic boxing isn't what it was 20 years ago. But those are my 3, and it's definitely not easy, because there's definitely ones like you'd be like, can I get 5? Can I at least get 5? Right?
We are spoiled. When you see all those, I mean, the Masters. I mean, if you love golf, that is the event. Yeah. That is the event. But no, it's just so many great events that go on now. You just sit back and think to yourself and say, dude, we got so many sporting events that goes on that you.
So because we went into that, I want to get into this one here too, right? So if you had to rank your top 10 all-time teams, and not just in one particular sport, this was a list, and you might agree with it, you might disagree with it, but they got the 72 Dolphins at number 1, the 02 Hurricanes, the 96 Bulls, the 27 Yankees. They did throw both of the current men's and women's hockey team on there. The women's hockey team at 5, the 85 Bears on there, the men's hockey team at 7, the 73 UCLA Bruins.
And Steve, be clear. That's basketball, not football.
Go ahead, Marvin. I know as soon as I heard
I was going to say, be clear when you were going through the list. Be clear. That's not football we're talking about. It's basketball.
Yes,
so
it is.
that.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I knew exactly what it was basketball, but yes, it doesn't say it on the list, and Marvin is spot on. It is absolutely the Lou Alcindor, UCLA Bruins, right? So
right, because UCLA hasn't won a national championship in over 75 years in football.
Yes. So now my question to you guys, like that list is that list. If you were able to kind of oversee that and say like maybe we should make some changes here. If there's anyone you would add to that all-time teams list, is there somebody you would like to add? We'll start with Marvin, then go to Ben. Who would you add to that top 10 list?
God, who would I add? That's tough, man. I think it's a solid list. I probably would have moved Barcelona up. The 2009 Barcelona soccer team, they would probably go in the top 5 versus in the bottom half. I saw you have the 2001 Miami Hurricanes team on there.
Yep, they're on there. They're number 2. I wouldn't put them that high, but they did have a unique team that there's a laundry list of guys on that team that were multiple-time All-Pro, Hall of Famers, etc.
Yeah, 100%. I think that one of those Reggie Bush teams could rival that, to be honest with you. I think that's already been out there. That's a conversation people are already had. Who's the all-time greatest college football team? And I think that first team with Reggie, I think there were 2 teams with Reggie and Liddell, where they were the featured players. I mean, with Matt Leinart, they just had a phenomenal team. So I would rival that with the 01 Hurricanes. And outside of that, I would probably move some of those teams around, to be honest with you. But I think it's a good list, though. I think you could put even more than one Jordan team on there.
I agree. All right, Ben, You've seen the list. You heard Marvin's comments. Are you good with the list? Is there somebody you would like to add on there? Is there something missing that they didn't cover? What are you feeling on that?
I am good with the list. I think sometimes, though, when it comes to these lists, excuse me, we have – like I was gonna say about your, USC, your Trojan teams, Marv, they went to 3 straight natties.
Yeah.
Right, they went to 3 straight.
100%.
There is no world, and I hate even giving them love. There is no world that you cannot talk about the 2019 LSU Tigers. That team was ridiculous. How good they were. Randy Moss' son was the tight end, right? They were good, and I don't like, and I do agree. When it comes to those Bulls teams, because the Lakers ain't nowhere on there. You ain't got no Laker team on there. I mean, Kobe and Shaq went 3-peat. You ain't got none of those teams. Let me tell you about a list like this. You can't get it right, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. You can't really get it right. I think that's why you got to make it categories. Because when you start doing, soccer, baseball, basketball, it's going to be hard. I think you got to be all soccer, all football, so you can really see it. Now, I didn't play against the 2001 Hurricanes, but I did play against the 2000 Hurricanes, 2002, and 2003. So the only reason why I didn't go 0-4 because I didn't play them in 2001. That team, those teams in particular were different because if I go, Bubba Franks, Jeremy Shockey, Greg Olson, Jimmy Graham, right? David Njoku. That's their tight ends, and that's how they went. That's how the receivers went. The starting receivers in 2000: Reggie Wayne, Andre Johnson, Santana Moss. The starting running backs? Adrian James, Clinton Portis, Frank Gore, Willis McGahee. The starting safety was Ed Reed. His backup was this dude. I don't know if you ever heard of him, Sean Taylor. You're not going to beat them. And I'm sorry, I went wrong with the tight ends. I'm sorry. It was Bubba Franks, Jeremy Shockey, Kellen Winslow, Greg Olson, then Jimmy Graham, then David Njoku. Those bums. I'm sorry. But I will say this. we don't fully appreciate the SC teams because they were that good. Like, you just cancel them out. You shouldn't do that. If we're doing the best duo running backs, and I played against some of these dudes, the best duo of running backs in the backfield. I played against Cadillac Williams and Ronnie Brown. That's the number 2 overall pick. That's the number 5 overall pick in the same backfield, right? I've seen Felix Jones and Darren McFadden and those dudes. This is no lie. I ain't seen too many running backs like Reggie Bush. I ain't seen too many guys like that. I thought this dude. Let me tell you how good they were. Back when ABC Sports had the number 1 game in college, it wasn't ESPN, it was ABC Sports. Lynn Swan, I know this personally because he was doing the games. We used to watch, 3 hours away. We still watching these games. It was like this. I want to see what's up with these dudes. Who is this? How you say his last name? Palomalo. How you say that?
Palomalo.
I know how to say it now. When we was watching it, we like, how you say his name? The dude with the hair. Then they go from him to Taylor Mays. So, I'm very, very biased when it comes to college football teams because you talk about the best teams and you talk about, quote, they ain't amateurs now. You talk about semi-pros. That's what I call college athletes versus pros. I mean, it's like I said, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to do that because some of these teams that never got to play each other. And if I put the SC team on there, I got to put that Vince Young team on there because they dethroned them beasts. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too many teams, man. But I like the list.
There's a lot.
It's a lot of teams because, look, I don't think college and pro compare. I think one is his own category and the other is his own category. Barcelona, come on, man. Barcelona, how many teams are we talking about here? Like, you know what I'm saying? You have a Barcelona list by itself. But this is why we love lists, though, right? Because they're debatable. They're never, Roger Craig, congratulations, sir. I forgot. Congratulations from getting inducted. That's when they doing it. They did a lot wrong, but they got you right, sir. And for those of you who saying, I didn't even know who Roger Craig is, cancel your subscription. You shouldn't watch football. Christian McCaffrey, LaDainian Tomlinson, Marshall Faulk.
We'll get into some Hall of Fame talk in a minute.
Who you think? Listen, all those dudes was eating lunch. That go Christian McCaffrey. That go LaDainian Tomlinson. That go Marshall Faulk. And they was like, hey man, why we eat yet? Oh no, we waiting on my boy. Roger Craig. Yeah, the first got to do 1,000 and 1,000. Anyway, congratulations, sir. Well deserved. You show that there are some good people out there, but no,
we're going to get into some more Hall of Fame talk here within the next hour or so. Want to get one more football topic in there before we kind of switch gears to some baseball. I got a few things I want to talk to you about, everyone about, and we'll discuss. But another graphic list that we came together. I thought that it would be kind of fun to kind of debate this one, right? Obviously, Ben's favorite guy to hate is on this list, at the top of this list, right? So, what do you guys feel like is the worst free agent contracts in NFL history? We got.
It got to be Ben's boy.
Oh, he's the top of the list.
No, number 2.
Oh my God, I know who the worst is on this list.
You got Albert Haynesworth is on this list. Yeah. Nick Foles is on this list.
Yeah.
Nnamdi Asomugha is on the list. Brock Osweiler is on the list. J.C. Jackson's on the list. Le'Veon Bell and Kenny Golladay is on this list. Obviously, as we were just talking about, none of these lists are ever 100% to everyone's liking. But again, just like with the previous one, is there somebody missing that isn't named here?
Nah, I think you got it right there, man.
Ben?
Yeah, well, they got it right at the top. They definitely got it right at the top. I don't understand it. Terry
No.
I'm like, what are we doing? Now, Albert Haynesworth was close. I'm gonna tell you why. So I had moved on from the Titans by then when he was getting like, defensive player of the year type stuff, first team all pro stuff. He goes to Washington, $100 million deal. But he's a 3-4. No, he's a 4-3 D tackle. They moved him to the 3-4. So they moving him to something that he doesn't do, right? Mm-hmm. And D'Angelo Hall, the guy I got drafted with, they were just talking about how Albert used to do, man. Like he just lay on the field. He would just lay on the field like he heard, just all kind of crazy stuff. Failed in his conditioning test. But the worst one on this list is Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell, remember, Marv, he skipped the whole year. I'm not going to come to Pittsburgh to go to the Jets and look like that. So I'm not going to take $16 million to do nothing, to go to the Jets. And now, I played with Nnamdi Asomugha when he was with the Raiders. Played with him. He is a bump and run corner. He is a in your face. They made him play zone. He got real regular, real fast. Love Nnamdi. And listen, Nnamdi don't care about what I'm saying. Nnamdi Asomugha is married to Kerry Washington. You think he care about what I'm saying? Love him. But it's like where you go has a lot to do with the player you become. When they put you, so yeah, I mean, but the Kirk Cousins, no, the Brock Osweiler one is awful because he got his money, because he helped Denver kind of stay afloat when Peyton Manning was hurt. So they re-signed him. And Nick Foles got signed to go to the Jags off of a playoff run? They signed him to all that money. After that playoff run, he won a Super Bowl.
Super Bowl? What you mean playoff run? Super Bowl.
Hold on. I'm not. I'm not, Nick. I'm not down. All right, Marv. You are the GM of the Jags. You see what he did in the playoff. You see him winning the Super Bowl. You gonna sign him to that big deal?
I'm just saying, when you ask which is the worst deal, I could justify a team giving the Super Bowl champion quarterback,
Super
a bag.
Bowl MVP too.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? But Ben, without question, the dude on that list that's number one is Albert Hainsworth.
It's bad. It's bad.
Listen, it's one thing if you out there, and you struggle on the last run of your conditioning drill. You're doing, however many gassers. Yeah. The last one, you don't make the time by a half a second or something like that. Okay, this dude, he wasn't even in shape to do the test.
It was bad.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's bad. That's bad. I've had dudes tell me that I've had veterans tell me. Now, my dad didn't feel this way. My dad, he stayed in shape year round. He took the offseason very serious. Mm-hmm. But I've had, when I was in the league, I had dudes tell me that training camp is where you get in shape. You know what I'm saying? And I never really bought into that or thought that was the right thing. This dude, he wasn't even in a position to try to take the test.
No, this was a medical risk. It was the worst. You know what's crazy? When Albert Hainsworth was with the Titans, I played with Albert for 4 years. Albert, to me, when Albert Hainsworth wanted to play, there's nothing you can do with him. There's nothing and Albert know this, man. I was on that Titans team when Albert Hainsworth stomped on the head of the center from Dallas. I'm on that team. We on the sideline watching, right? Because myself and Aaron Kennedy, starting tight end, we had a show called Hang Tight with Aaron Kennedy and Ben Troupe. Now we didn't do no intros, outros. We just kind of talking to the fans. And the crazy part about it was when that happened with Albert. See, I didn't see it on the field because I'm like, why they pushing him and all that? So when the Jerome, can't remember his name, when he stood up, he's bleeding. I'm thinking, what happened? So we looking at the Jumbotron, and when I saw it, it's like I know that didn't just. I'm like, what? We like, oh, like the whole crowd was like, what the? So when Albert became what he became and got that $100 million out there, that's a big deal. A D lineman getting $100 million, that's a big deal. But then it was so bad when he went to Washington. Like, how in the world does a free agent, a rookie free agent gonna pass their test? You're $100 million dude. And didn't Mike Golick go out there and do it? I think he did and passed it. I'm like, dude, that's it. And he said, look, I'm gonna really run the test. At the same time, it's a high level. Sports are very simple. As long as your worst doesn't outweigh your best, people gonna remember you for your best. That's not Albert's case. People remember him from that. The $100 million dude that couldn't do it. And look, it's not. Let me tell you something. This isn't the hardest test to do now, and it's very simple. You got to do 300 yards in under so many seconds. And if you went to the offseason program and said what they did with the Titans, you get to run 50 and back, 50 and back, 50 and back. Now, if you didn't have good attendance, they make you go 25 yards and back. That's awful. 25. So for Albert, you had to run 50 yards down and back 3 times, twice, and you couldn't do that. That makes Coach Haslett, who was I think the head coach at the time, look bad. That make Snyder, who was the owner at the time, because I'm like,
I think it was Shanahan, right? I think Shanahan was the coach.
Hold on, hold on. I think it was Haslett. I don't think it was Shanahan yet. I don't think it was.
I tell you what, if it's Haslett ain't no joke. I had him in New Orleans.
Let's see.
I liked him though. He was cool.
I mean, hold on. Who coached?
He traded me though, but that's okay.
Who coached Albert Haynesworth in Washington? I mean, it was. I remember my mom and them asking me, "Dude, what's wrong with Dude, it was Jim Zorn. I think it was Jim Zorn.
Quarterback? Okay.
But it is Albert Haynesworth for this reason. Albert is in his prime. Like, this is his second contract. This is coming off his rookie deal. This is because the Titans didn't want to give him $100 million because they've dealt with him for like 5-6 years. Like, we're not giving you $100 million for you to decide you don't want to do it. And the greatest FU you will ever see in your life is $100 million professional athlete, all pro, by the way, that ain't in shape. That's a part of your job. Yeah, man. It's, I mean, Le'Veon Bell, Nnamdi Asomugha, Brock Osweiler, all the Nick Foles, even my favorite cousin Kirk. Kirk Cousins is the worst contract. Kirk Cousins is the greatest bank robber we've ever seen. He robbed the bank and trust of Arthur Blank, and he got $90 million in 2024. People.
He put up numbers though, dude.
Look. You know what's crazy?
He put up numbers in Minnesota.
Look. Terry Fontenot, for those who don't know, Terry Fontenot, the former GM of my Falcons, he became who he became when he was in New Orleans. He was a GM, and he got Drew Brees. And you see what they did for about 19 years, right? You see what they did. He likes veterans. The difference is Drew Brees was coming off his rookie contract when he left the Chargers, and Phillip Rivers was behind him, who was gonna precede him. Nick Saban was the head coach of Miami at the time, and the trainers in Miami didn't. He failed his physical. So he left. So Nick Saban was the head coach in Miami. Drew Brees is there to do a physical. The trainer said he failed his physical. He went to New Orleans and he passed his physical. That's how he ended up in New Orleans. So Terry Fontenot, he likes, quote, veteran quarterbacks. To me, you got two kinds of veterans. You got a young veteran and you got an older veteran. Drew Brees is 25 years old when he get to freaking New Orleans. Kirk Cousins like 38 years old when he get to freaking Atlanta, and you give him 100. Anyway, Kirk Cousins in 2024 threw 9 touchdown passes against the Tampa Bay Bucks with no picks. That's how good he was against Tampa, and they didn't make the playoffs.
So we got our guest in here, so it is time for baseball, fellas. Football's over. It's time for baseball. Mr. Pat Combs is in the house. Pat, how we feeling this afternoon, my friend?
Hey guys, doing great from Dallas, Texas. It actually feels like spring. It's baseball weather.
Yes, sir.
I'm jealous because it's still freezing in Philadelphia. But there's a few things I want to talk to you about. One thing I just found out over the past week, being that you were one of these guys that played in Veterans Stadium. I kind of want to get your thoughts on it first, Pat. I put it in there. I don't know what you've heard about it or if you've heard about it at all, but the Philadelphia Inquirer had found dangerous chemicals in the AstroTurf of the now demolished Veterans Stadium. 6 players who played on that turf, Tug McGraw, Darren Dalton, Vukovic, John Oates, Ken Brett, and David Worth, all have died from aggressive brain cancers in their 40s and 50s, right? So even more alarming is all those 6 guys I just named all died from glioblastoma, right?
Right.
So when they demolished the stadium, the Phillies has sold off pieces of the turf in 4x4 bags. The Inquirer hopped on eBay and bought those samples and had them analyzed by 2 different labs. They found 16 types of dangerous chemicals in the turf. They are referred to as forever chemicals because they don't break down in the human bodies for years. The U.S. federal government estimates that over 20,000 artificial turf fields that use the same type of turf that the Phillies did during that time had found forever chemicals, and they still exist in the United States today. I haven't really heard a whole lot of media outlets or anybody running with this story. So being as a former player who played at Veterans Stadium and was a part of the organization that had that type of field on it, I want to get your thoughts on it first.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time I've heard about that article, but yeah, I mean, I guess the good thing for me is I didn't have a chance to plan up very long. So
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, the link to it, that's a little bit scary if they can find the direct link, I mean, I don't know how you do that with people obviously who are gone now, and how would they be able to gather a sample or anything to try to tie it directly back to the field. But yeah, it is kind of scary when you think about it that we've had 5 or 6 people that have passed away from that aggressive brain cancer, and was the turf maybe a reason or a cause?
I mean, we already have everyone, who's played there always had jokes about, there's rats as big as dogs in there. I had Tommy Green on a few months ago, and he used to see
Yeah.
all manners of creature crawling around the vet. And it just, I'm trying to make light of it because it is, at the end of the day, it's not a funny situation. We lost a bunch of people, and I think it's 2 of the names on there. Darren Dalton, played there a lot. Tug McGraw played there a lot. Both as a player,
right,
and as part of media, was in that stadium an awful lot, and both of them basically dying from the same type of brain cancer. It does raises questions in my opinion. And I think, I was talking about it with, my other coach on one of my other podcasts. It's funny that it's only Phillies players because you guys are in that stadium the longest, where the football players, they only play, 8 games a year, where the baseball players, you guys are there, 82 games?
Yeah, that's right. And
so,
yeah, much more access to it. And yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, all the guys you mentioned, you kind of did a little bit of historical context, look at their kind of lifestyles, and, there probably were some things going on there that didn't help either. Right. So it's, I think there's a lot of things you could take into effect with the way folks treated their bodies, but especially back in those days, it seems like today's player does a much better job of keeping themselves in shape. And, I mean, you still get some addiction issues today for sure, but nothing like when I played. It was about half the clubhouse was addicted to something. But and then I think it's so hard though when you are trying to do something like a medical link back to something that for causation. But I mean, I was more concerned with the way the center field looked and smelled after Lenny Dykstra played out there spitting all that tobacco juice. It was just nasty.
Yeah, he didn't care where he spat that thing. There was stains all over that stadium just from Lenny.
Yeah.
Ben, Marvin, any retorts on this one?
I mean, Pat, you mentioned back when you played, it's how much when you think about the, I guess, the culture of baseball, how much does something like this still kind of not get enough attention because maybe the culture of baseball is saying, look, does it just happens, or is it just when you start talking about professional athletes, man, I mean, baseball, it's hard to keep up with what everybody's doing. Does it have to be a big name player to have something bad happen for baseball to care? Or is it just, as long as Shohei is Shohei, it's not really gonna make the news.
Yeah. No, I think it's the culture of baseball. I mean, they've cleaned so much of it up, since we played, especially now that the drug testing, that they do, the steroid testing. Back when I played during the steroid era, I mean, guys were doing all kinds of stuff, and it was that, the culture back then was whatever it takes. You just do whatever you need to do to your body to get it through that 162 game season, and that, to me was part of the danger of watching guys, treat their bodies the way they did for 5, 10, 15 years into their careers. And then we started seeing, obviously the post effects was the steroid usage, guys breaking down sooner, tearing muscles that they shouldn't have torn, and, ligaments, and I mean, just all kinds of damage to their body because of what the steroid was doing. So, yeah, but I mean, you didn't really hear about the dangers of it, right? There wasn't, like today, we all understand, what's going to happen if you abuse your body in that way. And so there was, I think, a lack of education, lack of awareness. And then where there was just a lack of accountability. That to me was the biggest thing, Ben, was just the total lack of accountability. The owners knowing it was going on, but it was driving ticket sales, and fans were coming in to see home runs. And to me, it was that cabal of folks at the top allowing that to take place at the detriment of the players and their long-term health. That was completely overlooked. Like, hey, what could happen to your body after you're done playing? Well, I think we're seeing now, we're seeing guys that have dropped out because of cancer and other issues because they loaded their bodies up with drugs and steroids to make themselves better ball players.
Now we're talking about a better accountability. Obviously I got to bring up, our Phillies here because we, obviously, outfielder Johan Rojas is appealing his failed test that he is facing an 82-game suspension. But this is now the third player inside of the last 2 seasons that has tested positive for some type of banned substance. Is there just a lack of accountability that is going on with the Phillies organization right now? Because I don't think there's any other team that has multiple guys testing positive, for banned substance, where we have, a pitcher, two outfielders both tested positive within the last 2 years.
Yeah. Well, Steve, I think you guys know how this works, right? Like, a player, does something, takes a PED, they pass a test, somehow they pass it. They may have taken a marker or something that would cover that positive test up, right? So they skate through a test and they go, oh man, I found something I can use to cover up, this positive test. And then of course word starts to spread in the clubhouse, right? Well, what are you doing? How are you getting through it? Right. So that's how that stuff gets started. That's how the whole steroid thing blew up. One guy comes back to the clubhouse and he's gained 30 pounds of muscle weight over the offseason. They're going, what the heck were you on? What were you doing? Right. And so all the players start talking. So I don't know if that's what occurred or these guys just independently, took something and it showed up positive. I guess there's a chance of that too, but so, yeah, it's hard to put your thumb on it, but yeah, pretty interesting. There's 3 guys from the same team.
Yeah. Ben, Marvin, any retorts?
Yeah. So Pat, I see that you have a son, your youngest son was a catcher or is a catcher, and he made it to the Miami Marlins organization as a baseball player.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So I'm also the son of a player. My dad played for the Jets. I was fortunate enough to play for the New Orleans Saints. And growing up, my dad absolutely used football as a way to help me understand lessons just in life,
Yeah.
And, he also taught me about the culture of the game. And I truly believe he gave me just insights and a perspective that definitely helped me because I was getting it at a young age, getting it raw at a young age. Talking with your son, was it a similar process? Did you find he loved the sport early? Were you coaching him up early? What was that like bringing up a professional baseball player, essentially?
Yeah. Well, thanks, Marvin, for the question. And yeah, you could probably write a book on that. In fact,
here we go.
I did write a book on that.
It is.
Let's show us again, Pat, so we can say it more than the score. Right?
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. So Marvin, you experienced it firsthand, right? Like your dad being able to use those lessons that he learned from football to apply it to life and character building and all the things that you would need, to be a great person. And so that's that's exactly what I did with my sons. You know, I never had first of all, I never had the expectation that they would play professional baseball. And in fact, really talk to them about how hard it is, that lifestyle, and, you know, even trying to raise a family in that environment. It's just so difficult. So not that I was talking them out of it. I just wanted to be aware. You know, it's not about the glamour and the glitz and all the things that you think about as a professional player. And I'm sure your family experienced that, Marvin, where, you know, you understood when dad had to be away for camp and when he had to, you know, be on the road and, you know, not coming home every night. So, yeah. So, but, you know, there's so many great things to learn, especially in youth sports. And I think if we use that platform effectively and appropriately, we can teach those great life skills, you know, teamwork and discipline and dedication and all the things that you can learn from playing a sport, and then being around other people, right? Serving your teammates well, and all the leadership skills that can come with that if you do it right, you know. So it really is. It's about, you know, great parenting, great coaching. You know, how do we use sports to help our kids improve in life and be able to apply those same skills that they can take out of the sport into the rest of their lives, you know, in whatever career choice that they go into. I think sports is a great proving ground for learning all those great skills that you can use the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I also saw that you attended Baylor University. And, you know, I went to SC. I know Ben's a Florida Gator, and all of us come from the pre-portal era. So when you chose a college, you were choosing your second family, literally. A lot of people don't understand how serious that decision was and what it meant to you to be out of school for 3 to 5 years. Baseball can be a little bit different. Can you talk about how you chose Baylor and just in that process and that experience?
Yeah, be glad to, Marvin. And I actually started my college career baseball and in school at Rice University in Houston, but I transferred to Baylor after my freshman year, and that was because of a coaching change. So I was able to get a release and make a transfer. It wasn't about money. There was no big checks back then, but no, you're exactly right. I think that's the one thing that Nick Saban talked about a lot, you know, during his interview of why he, you know, probably left Alabama before he really needed to. He could have coached a number of years, but he said, you know, I just saw the change in college sports from a place where you do develop that relationship and the kind of the family atmosphere and, you know, the pride of going to a college and, you know, bringing your family back years after you left or graduated and being part of that college family. And I think that you're exactly right. That's what's missing, right? We're now setting kids up for failure. And I think about, you know, Marvin, where my head goes with this is I think about a lot of the kids that come from places where they couldn't afford to go to that particular school. So they get in there because of their athleticism. And then, you know, they are transferring 2, 3, 4 times and education gets thrown out the door. Right. So, and they've got their mind set like we did on playing professional sports. So you're going to college, you're going to school, you're trying to earn your degree, but, you know, you're also trying to, you know, develop yourself in your respective sport. And then if you have that many transfers, you know, you're not going to graduate. So you're losing hours every time you move to another school. That player doesn't play professionally, then what are they left with? Maybe they got a couple of nice checks, you know, and we know what we did with extra spending money when we were young. You know, we spent it usually. So they're leaving school without a degree, without much money, if any at all, and they've shuffled themselves around so much they have no really relationships to any particular institution. So we have done a huge disservice to that particular person, that player, by allowing this to happen. So yeah, it's got to get fixed. And I saw some things this morning about maybe the government starting to get involved and trying to help come up with some solutions to that. And I hope they do. This is just it's like the Wild West, and it's not good. It's not good for the player or the person or the one trying to seek an education.
Yeah, I think you know, I think the bigger issue really is just putting restraints within the transfer portal, making players honor the contracts. I think, you know, for football and basketball, these guys generate the money. So I never really had an issue with them getting some of the money. But I think the ability just to bounce and leave whenever you want to, with, you know, regardless of your commitment to that university and what they just paid you, I think that's ridiculous as well. I agree with you on that portion of it. Yeah, I do. So you went from Rice to Baylor. Was staying in Texas a big deal to you? Is that something that you were looking forward to? Was Rice was Rice the school that you were looking to go to out of high school? Was that the school was that your dream school?
Yeah, it was not my dream school. I got the chance to visit Miami, UCLA, Oklahoma State, Texas, Texas A&M, Baylor, and my parents asked me to stay close to home so they could see me play, and ultimately that kind of swayed my decision. And then when I got there and had the experience I did, I said, I made the wrong decision. I need to make a change here. So thankfully it worked out. I went to Baylor, got re-recruited by all those other same schools, but I chose to go to Baylor, and it was that was a great place for me. It was the perfect fit. Really enjoyed the school there, and it was just a great experience. So yeah, I am grateful that the student athletes get a chance to transfer, and I do agree with you. I love the fact that players can earn money in college, because we all know that the college endowments are really large. They're making a lot of money off the backs of student athletes, but it's great that they. The players now get to share in some of that, but I do think I agree with you. There's got to be some restrictions around that.
Yeah. Well, it's something we've talked about here a lot on here, that we just have to have some guardrails. I think the general idea of it is good. Like, coach winds up leaving, you're not a part of the new regime that's coming in. You should be able to transfer to another university. And even to Marvin's USC guy, what they did to Reggie Bush was absolutely criminal. And Reggie Bush is just a big name that hit the front page. There's probably thousands of athletes they've done it to over the years that didn't get as much hype. So I'm definitely for having some guardrails. I don't think we necessarily have to have the government involved, because we all can agree that the government doesn't always do things for the right reasons. I would rather internally NCAA, the players, the student athletes, so to speak, come together and say this is what the rules should be, and this is how we should go about it moving forward. There shouldn't be, you shouldn't have 3 years of you entering the transfer portal. That shouldn't be a thing. Yeah. So, one thing I do want to get to, we were talking a little Hall of Fame stuff beforehand. I put it on there, some of our greatest that never made it, but I want to go back to the PED point real fast. So the fact that both Max Kepler and Johan Rojas tested positive, does that open the door for Barry Bonds to come back in? Because neither one of those guys could hit the lick of the ball anyway, right? So Barry Bonds is absolutely on my Hall of Fame list as right now, but I want to get your thoughts on this. When you're seeing these guys test positive and they're not hitting the broadside of the barn, regardless of how jacked up they are, and the stigma that has followed Barry's career for his involvement during that time period, I think we could all agree he had 2 different careers and both of them were Hall of Fame worthy, right?
Right. Yeah, and I think, Steve, there's a case to be made, for guys that have been left off the list, obviously because of the steroid era. Barry Bonds, one of them. My question is, and has always been, because I've got, hardliners that I speak with too that say, oh, those guys should never be allowed in. And I say, well, which guys? And they'll mention Bonds and Clemens. I'm like, well, wait a minute, time out. Before they, took the PEDs, were they Hall of Fame players to begin with? And I think most of us could agree, yeah, those guys were Hall of Fame bound. So did they take something to enhance their career and maybe improve their numbers? If you want to make the case that Bonds, improved him tremendously on the home run side, well, great. I could understand that, but could he have gotten in the Hall, without using the drugs? And I think you have to say yes. That guy was headed to the Hall of Fame. I think Roger Clemens absolutely was headed to the Hall of Fame. I worked out with Roger for years. That dude was big and broad and looked like a linebacker when he got into the league, right? So did it help him maybe stay on the field longer, maybe recover from injury quicker? Yeah, but I think you have to take those things into consideration. I hate for a guy not to get in the Hall of Fame who was destined to be there just because he took the PEDs.
Yeah, and you mentioned Roger. He's on this list. I came across this graphic of the all-time not in the Hall of Fame list, and Kurt Schilling's on there, Roger Clemens is on there, Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, Albert Bell, Shoeless Joe Jackson, Alex Rodriguez. Pete Rose is an absolute travesty. they have Mark McGwire on there, but I think the non-steroid side of it, Don Mattingly should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame as well.
Yeah.
Is there obviously unique list? Thurman Munson's on here, Lou Whitaker's on here, Tommy Johns is on here, Carl Mays is on here. Is there anyone not on this list that you would like to have aforementioned should be in the Hall of Fame?
That's a pretty good list. Yeah, I mean, probably. I'm thinking Andy Pettit.
Andy, I like another guy from your era, Dale Murphy too.
Yeah, Murph. Yep, certainly. Yeah, Andy Pettit was one of the winningest pitchers in postseason history.
Mm-hmm.
When the game's on, it means a little bit more.
Yeah.
Who's the winner, right?
Since Ben brought up the Hall of Fame talk a little bit earlier, do you have a retort on this one first, and then Marvin?
Oh yeah, I mean, how do you feel about these beat writers? Right, we understand they get their vote, but as Marvin always let me know, human beings gonna do human things, right? They're gonna do that, and. Yeah. I ain't like the way that Barry used to talk to me or didn't want to give me my interviews when he was with the Giants. Or I didn't like how, Dale Murphy used to, tell me, look, how much is how they saw these plays. Now, the career is there, but how much is I didn't really like him. And this, I'm going to get my lick back right now, because if it's up to me, it's going to be a no. When do we get to a point where we got to see either how they voted or has the way the Hall of Fame voting has been doing, is it outdated?
Yeah. But that's a great question. Great point. There's no doubt the human side of it takes over. And, if you want to just use Barry as an example, I mean, he was not the most pleasant guy to be around, right? And he treated reporters terribly at times and, would dog them for their questions. But, yeah, so there's absolutely a human element involved there. And which goes back to, like, the makeup of the voting booth, right? Like who do we have that's voting for these guys for the Hall of Fame? Well, it's all sports writers. Well, why? Why do we have just sports writers? Why it should be managers, coaches, former players, right? I mean, that to me makes the most sense. The guys that were in the game, that played the game, they should have a say in who that they think the best guys are. And now I know what they'll say. I'll say, well, you those guys can be influenced. Like, if you played for a manager and you're calling your manager and say, hey, would you vote for me for the Hall of Fame? Well, there could be some of that, but I promise you, some of these sports writers are getting lobbied. So,
flip that. And it's something we talk about it on here all the time. I don't think the sports writers should have as heavy of an influence on it. And it doesn't matter if we're talking baseball, football, whatever. I think it should be surprised mostly of Hall of Famers, veteran and current players. Maybe a few executives of things of that nature, but for the mostly, I think it should be self-policed. Do they get a vote? Sure, the writers should get a vote, but they shouldn't control the vast majority of who gets in, who doesn't, etc.
Right. Yeah, why couldn't they even include maybe 5% of fans, right? Like maybe you have some fans that get elected to that voting board. But to me, the Hall of Fame, it's about. Obviously, you're honoring the greatest players that ever played the game, but it's also for the benefit of everybody involved in the sport, right? So why are we just limiting it to one particular demographic to vote?
Yes.
Does that make any sense?
Anything you want to add to this, brother?
Yeah. Technology in baseball. Listen, I grew up watching the late 80s Yankees, early 90 Yankees, Mets as well, growing up in New York. And then watching the Dodgers when I moved out to California for high school and college. And I like the idea, old school baseball, the calling balls and strikes. If he gets it right, he gets it right. If he doesn't, he doesn't. It's, human error is part of the game. What do you think about the reality of technology really impacting baseball and possibly removing, umps and just people from the field and relying on technology more? Do you like that, or do you like the human error that's part of the game?
Yeah, Marvin, it's a great question, but we can talk about this for hours. I'm a traditionalist. I love the human part of it. And, I've got a really dear friend, Ted Barrett, who was a 32-year Major League umpire. And Ted and I serve on a ministry board together. And, And I've asked Ted the same question, and Ted said, look, our goal is always to get the call right. That's why we would come together and have discussions about it. Did you see a different angle than I did? And, but I love that part. That's the part of the game. And I think the fans enjoyed that as well, and the like, what do we miss today? We miss those ejections, like when a manager get fired up and go out and get thrown out of a game. That just brought a lot of energy to the field. And we loved it when our manager was, had our backs and sticking up for us and would get into those arguments. And so, yeah, that to me is just we're losing that part of the game. Now, I understand why we've moved into this technological realm, when you consider all the money that's being won or lost on games every night. And now that we've discovered it's even on, pitch by pitch, play by play, I certainly understand that, because you could say, somebody loses, a ton of money over a bad call. And that, I'm sure, would have an effect on mental health issues and all kinds of things. But, so I get it. Like doing the ABS system this year. I mean, is that really going to work? And is it going to slow the game down too much, or is it going to help increase the, making the right calls with pitches and all that? But that, you every time you change a rule like that, you think about the consequences of the game. For years, catchers were taught how to frame pitches and win pitches for their pitcher, and the really good ones would benefit from that. You would have backup catchers that would catch certain pitchers on certain staffs because he was really good at working with that particular pitcher. It could buy 6, 7, 8 strike calls a game. And so now that's thrown out the window, right? So that again, every time we introduce one of these technological changes, we have to look at the impact on the game. And has it changed the game too much to where it's taken that human element out of it? And I would say, yeah, it has. I really miss kind of seeing some of the great arguments and the things that involved, the people side of the game.
Thank you. Get it, man.
Pat, we're gonna put in for you to become a voter if you got.
Yeah.
because here's the thing, right? Nate, how is it? For the life of me, how is it the people who played the game, don't have no involvement when it comes to the ultimate enshrinement of going to the Hall of Fame? It's the people who wrote about the game. And look, I get that things have their place. I'm not saying that they don't, but there is no world that Barry Bonds is in the Hall of Fame. There isn't. I don't care what world we're living in. This could be an AI generated world. Barry Bonds can come back an alien. He is in the Hall of Fame. That's chilling. He's in the how do somebody, to me, Hall of Fame is a guy that's on the edge, not a guy who's bona fide. What? Barry Bonds in. Let's move on to the next. Do we even got to vote? No, you vote on if we all at the board meeting and we can't decide what we're gonna eat. It goes to a vote. Is it Chinese? It's not. It's Dale Murphy like this kind of stuff to me is crazy, because to me it makes the Hall of Fame look illegitimate. How is the best player? And I get it. I love Hammer and Hank. Love him to the moon. He is in heaven's hand. Why ain't Barry got it? I don't get how that's even, because it makes the game of baseball look crazy, because it's like, who are these beat writers? Like, who are these people who have the ultimate? Because I go, do you like being a beat writer? Or do you like being a voter? Because it sounds like you like to vote just to cause controversy. And I'm so happy he's in. To all the Andrew Jones haters, what do you have to say now? I kept saying, I don't know who the greatest center fielder is. I know who's one of them. I saw him. I'm a Braves fan. So I saw Terry Pendleton and Tom. Don't get me talking about my Braves team that could do everything but win the World Series. Love them, couldn't win it. I'm just saying, when do we get to a point where we say to ourselves, this is ridiculous? Like, wait a minute. Has anybody ever got voted in that took PEDs? Yeah. So what are we doing? Has anybody ever? Yeah.
Right.
So why is it now? And not to jump on your Phillies, Steve, but are we talking about 3 guys getting called out of all the play? That's progress. 3 guys out of all the guys. Barry Bonds, to me, was built to play baseball. He came out the womb swinging. Like that dude could just, even if I'm not the greatest Barry Bonds fan, but I got to respect what he's done. Kurt Schilling, like, what are we? Come on, like, this isn't even real. I'm like, so another 2026 or 2027 is going to come and go. The most egregious person on that list is Pete Rose. I do not like the fact you waited on this man to take his last breath, and now I don't like that. I don't like that one bit, because if he's good enough in death to go in, he was good enough while he was living. Yeah, we don't got to like what he did, but I just hope, I'm going to say, listen, we're going to institute the Pat Combs. We're going to institute this new rule to where we call it, Pat, you didn't know this, but myself, Steve, and Marvin, we represent the Common Sense Competitions Committee.
Oh, nice.
We haven't got the LLC. We ain't got it official yet, but we're going to be able to walk into these meetings when they vote, and I'm going to say, who are you? My badge number is 6676. I am from the Common Sense Competitions Committee. Why is the Barry Bonds going in? Yeah, well, you guys can leave. You guys can leave. Because there is, Marvin won't say this. Marvin Powell's father should be an NFL Hall of Famer. You know how you got to do? Ask any offensive lineman, because he played O-line, ask any D lineman during that era. To me, a Hall of Famer is simple. Ask the people who played with them. You just ask them. Ask any pitcher. Who scared you the most on the mound? Barry Bonds. Who? Barry Bonds scared me the most. Why? Because he's the reason why they say swing for the fences. He don't want to hit doubles and triples. He want to try around the bases. Pat, I hope that people look at this interview and say, hey, listen, this is a former major leaguer saying, yeah, Barry Bonds, yeah. I don't drink, but I could be drunk. And being what? Who's a Hall of Famer? Who should be a Hall of Famer? Barry Bonds. I know that. I can't tell you what day it is.
Yeah.
I just don't understand it, only because you were a big leaguer and you had sons that are big leaguers. You know how hard it is to do both?
Right.
But then your son has a Barry Bonds career and they ain't voting him in. You're going to be like, wait a minute, because it's so hard. That's what you did it for, to live on forever. We ain't going to remember every baseball player. But Barry Bonds is like Tiger Woods. I don't even watch baseball, but I know who that is.
That's right.
That's how big to me he was. Hopefully they get it right. And like I said, the year of Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire, we were not privileged. I was so humble to watch that. You watching two dudes going back and forth, and now, yeah, it was good. We love the ratings, love the money, but I don't know if I can put them in. Come on.
Right.
Hopefully we do better, but all I am is a former professional athlete that don't know much. I don't know what Hall of Famers look like. Because they say, Ben, you just mad you in the Hall of Famer. Am I mad? Or do I want to become a beat writer just so I can infiltrate all y'all? I got to become a beat writer so I can. I'm just saying, Pat, hopefully they let people like yourself be in these rooms just to bring some common sense. We're going to sprinkle a little common sense on this conversation to say, there isn't a world where Barry Bonds isn't a Hall of Fame. He's on the Mount Rushmore. That's why they won't do one. They're not going to do one because his face got to go up there.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, Ben, you think about the people that are entrusted, right, for those votes, the sports writer. I mean, outside of Paul Hagen in Philadelphia, man, those guys were mostly curmudgeons. Like, they were just difficult. I mean, you wouldn't want to hang with them. There's not people you want to hang out with. And so, you just got to look at if you're the baseball commissioner, you have to seriously look at that and say, what would be the reason we would continue doing it this way? And then list out the reasons why you wouldn't. And I can give you a ton of reasons why you wouldn't. But yeah, it's always been an amazing thing to me that you've entrusted some of the biggest decisions of the game. Like you said, the guys are going to live on in infamy, like they're going to have their face, in the Hall of Fame for forever. And you go, and we're letting this one group of people make all those decisions. I mean, that just blows my mind. Yeah, it's just crazy.
Now, next one I want to get you to is the question that a lot of people are starting to ask as we're getting close to the end of the collective bargaining agreement, and it looks like there's a good possibility we could either have a strike, a lockout, something of that nature. And last week, our the PA director Tony Clark had resigned, so now you don't have a PA representative that has has some experience there that he's moving on. You have a lot of questions surrounding if there's going to be a collective bargaining agreement made. I think that Rob Manfred dropped the ball and not trying to get the Players Association to sit down before spring training this year. So I think there's a very good possibility that if you don't have even an idea of how far you are apart now, I don't think you're gonna really grasp where these players are going, and the Players Association are going to be sitting when we come to the end of this in December. What are your thoughts? Do you feel like they're so far apart, this is where we're going to be going, or do you have hopes that there may not be a lockout, strike, etc. at the end of the year?
Yeah, Steven, I don't know a ton about it, but I do know Bruce Meyer, who took over for Tony Clark, and Bruce is a kind of a hard line guy. You know, the players are not going to accept a hard cap, and that's what the owners want. They want that hard salary cap, and it's kind of a crazy idea to me because it's working. Like, the owners are still making good money, the players are still being paid in that 65 to 68% range of revenue, and the only reason I think owners want a hard cap is because they can't police themselves, so they're asking the players to come on board with them to help them police their bad habits. And it's going to go back to when I was a player rep with the Phillies, and we said, okay, so you're asking, basically the owners are asking the players to become partners in a business relationship. And every time we said, okay, well, we're open to it, let's take a look at the books. And they said, oh, we're not going to show you the books. So we're not going to see the numbers? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, we're not going to show you our numbers. So why would you ever go into a business partnership with a partner who's going to be deceptive and won't show you the books? Is that a relationship any of us would do? No, you'd be crazy. But that's the power that these sports owners yield. They were able to do it in football and basketball. So I think the baseball owners are thinking, yeah, we should be able to do it as well in our sport. Why not? And it's going to be the players have to just come together and figure out how they're going to work through that. And look, the last time this happened in a lockout, Steve, it was kind of really neat to see the players rally around each other, because a lot of veteran players said, hey, we're going to set up a pot of money for the younger players that are 1, 2 year, 3 year guys that haven't made a ton of money yet. We're going to set up a pool that they can access to make their house payments and make their living arrangements, pay for their lifestyle with some within reason. But that was a tremendous idea. So I wouldn't doubt that that's happening now. MLB PAA is already, I'm sure Bruce has already communicated to the players, hey guys, start saving your money for this, because it's going to be probably a protracted lockout, and we just simply have to outlast the owners on this.
Ben, Marvin, any retorts?
So, Pat, I read that you and a friend of yours, my Trojan brother, Tom House, former Trojan, trained not only pitchers, but worked with quarterbacks. Can you talk about that crossover for people who don't understand, and how a major league pitcher can assist an NFL quarterback?
Yeah, Marvin. Well, I brought a tool. It was a behavioral assessment to Tom House. I asked Tom to just give me some feedback on it, because it was really being used for leadership development, helping senior leaders in corporations. It's a company called Teamalytics out of College Station, Texas. And the founder had found this tool, behavioral assessment, about 30 years ago. And he used it on me, he took me through it. And it was just kind of an eye opener, because it wasn't like a typical personality profile. It was really more assessing behaviors. And it will also give you some 360 feedback. So I would take it on myself, have 6, 7, 8 other people do it on me, and it would show me my behavioral measurements and give me indications of where I should work to improve certain areas. And so it's a tremendously helpful tool, but it's a 360 based behavioral assessment. So I took it out to Tom, and Tom said, well, I've got a couple of guys, we ought to run through it just to see what kind of results we get, and I'll tell you if I want to use it or not. So first couple of guys we took through it were Tom Brady and Drew Brees, and we got the results back, and it was fantastic. I mean, immediately we were able to give TB some feedback on his behaviors, and it was so funny in that first meeting we had. He kind of pushed back and said, "Well, I don't think that's right." And I said, "Well, Tom, who did you ask to do the profile on you?" And he gave us the list of his 6, 7 people. And he picked out a couple of teammates and a couple of coaches and some, support people. And I said, well, you picked him, right? He goes, well, yeah. I said, well, then why don't you go back and ask him if that measurement's right? And I can't, out of confidentiality, I can't tell you exactly what the measurement was, but he called about a week later and says, yeah, it's right. I said, so here's the question. What do you want to do about it? How do you want to grow and use this to help you become a better teammate, a better leader, and so to his credit, obviously he went to work on it and you guys, understand the career he had, but it was really neat to work with, people at that level, the highest level of their sport, and especially these NFL quarterbacks who were always looking for that little edge. How do I get better? How do I improve? And that's just that championship mindset. We worked with Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, a number of other NFL quarterbacks. There's still some guys using that process today. So it's just been really a lot of fun for us to be involved, with helping players to improve and helping them to see some things they can do to just tweak, to help them in their performance, but also in their leadership style.
Understood. Thank you.
I mean, that's crazy though. Hold on. Now I want to just go by that. Wait a minute. So you know what I'm saying? You get the email or the text. Yeah, so Tom Brady's on board, Drew Brees is on board. So you're having a conversation with these guys, and what is that like? Because we obviously, when it comes to guys like Drew Brees and Tom Brady, that's football royalty. These guys are, you can cut half their career in half, and they still got better numbers than guys that played just as long as them, if not longer. What does that do for you, like the respect level? Because for guys, they got to respect you before they even respect what you say. Like, they got to respect you first. What does that do for you knowing, look, man, I'm a pitcher. I'm a former major league pitcher talking to Tom Brady, talking to Drew Brees, talking to Matt Ryan, MVP, Super Bowl MVPs. I think Drew Brees just became a Hall of Famer. They can't even keep Tom Brady out. They might try. They won't be able to. Hopefully they'll do the right thing. But not saying that you was searching for validation, but that is the highest level of validation when I'm dealing with these guys, and you're not going to play the quarterback position better than them. When you got done working with them, what did it do for you? Because when you've been a pro athlete, man, we need to know, and we might not tell everybody, but hey, man, I ain't a pro no more, but I got a pro's mindset. I still think I got some valuable advice that I can give. So what did that do for you after working with guys like that? Yeah.
Well, Bennett, we told these guys, first of all, we're behind the scenes, right? We never want to be out in front. And in Tom House, Tom brought such great credibility because of, who he was and how he coached and how he helped players improve. It just wasn't the mental emotional side. It was the mechanical side. It was the strength and, coordination. So, he called the 4 chairs to the stool to help create a great foundation for a player to achieve high performance. And so that was just one piece of it, the mental, emotional, behavioral side of it. So, what it did for me, I wasn't really as interested in that, Ben. I've consulted with a lot of companies, working with C-suite leadership teams, helping leaders and teams grow and become better performers, better team members. But so it helped us a little bit from the credibility side, but it really, I told these guys, I said, look, you will not see me doing interviews in the media to try to gain attention for me working with you. This is all confidential behind the scenes stuff. My goal, Ben, was simply to help them grow and improve and get better. And I had, coaches and people who did that for me. And so this was just kind of one piece of their growth equation. And so I was honored to do it. And we measured a lot of players over the years. We still do it. We still work with some of Tom's people, and they still measure these NFL quarterbacks. And we just worked with some college guys getting ready for the combine. But it really does. It measures things like urgency, intensity, the need to nurture, criticality, self-confidence, self-critical. So we take these behavioral measurements and we're able to help them say, hey, here's where typically high-performing quarterbacks tend to be within these ranges behaviorally. And if your data is outside that range, here's some specific steps you can do to help grow towards that ideal range. And so we get very granular in terms of what we can do to help them grow, and then we hold them accountable to it. And then they're getting feedback from their teammates and coaches as well about how they're doing with that growth plan. So it was just really an honor to work with those guys at that level and help them improve.
That's awesome, Pat. The stuff that you're also getting in outside of the sport. So One last one that I'm gonna have, if Marvin or Ben have anything else that one of the things I want to ask you is, obviously we are today away from the World Baseball Classic, right? And it's been, and one of the things that I already told you I wanted to ask you, do you feel like over the last few years we've seen a shift from the prestige of baseball internationally as well, going more towards the Baseball Classic than we've seen in the past 20, 30 years, where it typically go towards our Olympians? Is that something you feel is accurate, or is the Olympics still where the you see some of the best international baseball games being played?
Yeah, well, man, I appreciate it, Steve. I had a chance to play on the 87, 88 USA teams, and we played in the Seoul Olympics, won the gold medal. We were the first U.S. team to do that. And, no greater feeling in the world than being a part of those teams. And, as Tug McGraw said to us during a dinner one night, they were honoring us at a dinner before we went over to play. And he had us all stand up, and he walked around and touched each of us on our shoulder. Just thinking about that just gives me the chill bumps thinking about it. But he just gave us the charge. He goes, "Man, you're wearing the colors and the flag and USA across your chest. You represent not just yourself, but you represent this entire country. And yeah, we're all behind you, but here's the expectation level. You will win. You'll win the gold, and you'll come back and make us all proud." And just an incredible moment, to think about just the perspective of who we were playing for at that particular time, and so, I'm partial to the Olympics. I just think, once every 4 years, you get one shot at it, and, you're kind of working behind the scenes for 3 years up to that point to become the greatest team in that respective sport. So I'll always be partial to that. But I love the WBC. I think it's a great concept. I love when anytime players can wear the colors of their country and represent their homeland is just a tremendous amount of pride, and I love it. I love watching it. There's that to me is really the highest level of competition you're going to see outside of the championships and things that we see. But yeah, it's a tremendous way to view the game and be a part of it.
Ben, Marvin, anything to retort on that?
So, Pat, would you say that when you look at what you're doing now and leadership consulting, leadership development, this stems from your time as a professional athlete and just, understanding what it takes to be a lead? And are you pitching those principles? Is it everything you heard from all the coaches all your life that you've put together for these business CEOs?
Yeah, Marvin, it really is. There's a lot of it. I've learned a lot along the way here, but certainly going back to my playing days and, playing for managers and coaches who were great leaders and I had great respect for, and then also playing for some that weren't so great. And, you kind of learn both sides of it, right? I was thinking to myself just the other day, I learned so many things from some of the managers that I didn't enjoy playing for, still learned, but also learned things not to do and how not to treat people. And so, I had the benefit of playing on both sides of that. But yeah, and look, it's been neat. I did leadership development for about 25 years, and then recently was asked to become CEO of an addiction healthcare company. So I just took that role on a couple of months ago. I built a wealth management practice in a private family office with my son. He now runs that. My middle son runs Combs Capital Partners. And so, yeah, Marvin, what it translated to was me being able to utilize those skills and competencies to help others. And I think ultimately that's been kind of the definition of my life. I've just loved serving other leaders and teams and helping them to grow. And then now I've been asked to take over this healthcare company, and it's just a blessing, man. It's awesome that, I think every day how God chose me for these particular assignments, and I've just been like open hands. It's like, okay, Lord, just use me wherever you need me, put me where you need me. And I'm just going to love people, serve them, obviously set up standards of excellence, hold them accountable, because when we do that, we all succeed and everybody wins. So yeah, I've just been, I think, one of the most blessed men on the planet.
I think it's outstanding how you've been able to use your athletic background and your athletic experience and apply it toward youth, where you just obviously written a book, but also it creates a foundation for what you're doing, in the corporate world, in business. And I feel like you've been able to really impact people whether they're young or older, through sports and what you've learned through sports and the lessons taught to you through sports. And these are the kind of stories that need to get out there, how sports really impact people and give you a platform to help serve others. I think that's outstanding.
Yeah, thank you, Marvin. I appreciate that. My wife thinks I need medication for all the stuff I'm involved in, but I told her we can work on that too. But no, it's I do have a little bit of ADD, but ultimately it is, Marvin. It's just about.
But that helps you detail on some of these things better. People think that's a bad thing.
There you go, man. Yeah, I've just learned a ton, man. I consider myself a lifetime learner. I just want to grow and improve and get better every day, and then surround myself with great people that we can work with.
Well, with that being said, Pat, I mean, you being a Texas man, Matthew McConaughey, he wins Best Actor for, I think it was Dallas Buyers Club. I think he won his Oscar. And in his Oscar speech, he said something that he said, as a man gets older, he needs three things: something to look up to, something to look forward to, and something to chase. What is Pat looking up to? What are you looking forward to? And what are you chasing, sir?
Oh, man. Great one, Ben. Well, right now, at the moment, my head's down in this business of addiction healthcare. And, man, I got to tell you, being able to serve our country in this way that, we've got it's an epidemic of addiction. And we're trying to solve it. We're trying to bring solutions to that. These communities, we're in Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Iowa, and we're looking to expand the business, but we've got to get some things fixed internally before we can do that. I stepped into a role. It's a friend of mine who started the company called Pathway Healthcare, and unfortunately, his wife got breast cancer. He had to step away, and now he's asked me to step into that role. So we're really good at what we do. We have a chief medical officer, Dr. Stephen Taylor, who was he was a CMO for the NBA for 15 years. Just a dear guy. Has built a process and a system that solves most addiction issues, and so we're just attacking it, man. That's what I'm looking forward to, is making just a bigger impact on our country in this way to help serve these communities that need these services.
And what are you chasing?
What am I chasing? Well, every day I chase a closer relationship with God. That's what I chase. I'm so thankful for my family. Chasing being a better grandparent, a better husband, better dad. God's taking care of us financially, so I don't chase money. I'm really chasing how do we better help the people that need our help. That's what I'm chasing.
Well, I will say, Pat, I mean, I have a nonprofit called the Uncommon Crew, where I mentor boys ages 12 through 18, where most of them have never met their father. And then one thing we always tell them, they say the greatest thing a man can do is to have a son, and his son want to be just like him. That's and just listening to you, your son did not only chase you to be a major leaguer. You told him, you also just said, man, they running the family business. You are doing it, sir. I'm telling you right now, from a man who, understands what men do, and this is taking nothing away from the ladies, because we do love them. This is not doing tit for tat. I'm just saying, we tell our young boys, whenever you meet your father, just hug him long enough, until he tell you got to let him go. And when you let him go, look at him and say, listen, I love you, and we can start right now. Because the greatest thing a man can do is have a child, have the child's name, have a son, his name be just like them, like Marvin Powell III. And they grow up and want to be just like you. Because if a son wants to be just like you, that means his hero, right, is who gave him life. So, sir, I'm just giving you your flowers right now to let you know, because you kept on talking about your sons, and they still chasing you. Hey, man, my dad, we got a business with my dad. That's the greatest thing, because as men, we have sons. We just hope that our wives let us name us after them. Hopefully she can't stand my name so much that she wanted to be able to name a son after him. But I'm just listening to you, and you are doing it, sir. I think us as men don't do a good enough job of telling each other, look, keep doing what you're doing. You don't gotta, nobody can tell Pat how to be Pat. You know how to do it, sir. So keep doing what you're doing. That way, when I go back and I see him every Tuesday, I say, look, I just seen a hero now. What? I just seen one. Because yesterday we asked him who was their hero, and none of them said their dad. Like none of them said it. And I said, well, I do believe that one day when you become a father yourself, you're going to be a father to your son, what your daddy never did to you. But before you judge your dad, let him speak for himself first. Let him tell you what really happened.
Good word,
and
man.
Then you can move on. I said, because as my father would tell me, I said, son, you are my son. You are not my choices. But I choose you every day. So Pat, keep doing what you're doing, man. I get to tell my son all the time, my sons all the time, man. I just hope that something I do is worth doing when I can no longer do it. That's what legacy is. When I can no longer do it, somebody pick up that baton and they run their race and give it to her. Hey, God is the way, he is the only way. And I'm just happy to have known you, sir. And I can tell my daddy, I said, look, daddy, y'all daddies know what y'all doing, man. Y'all good ones. Y'all know what y'all doing, man. I'm trying my best not to tuck my shirt in to my pants. I'm not my daddy yet. I look like him. If y'all see me in my t-shirt tucked into my jeans, I have officially become my father. Because I go, daddy, you going to the refrigerator. Yeah, why you tucked in? Well, son, he said you never know who watching. In the house, you can untuck. But it's what he does. It's what he does. It's what he does.
Good word, man. Yeah, thank you, man. What a blessing. Yeah, I think if we can, you talked about legacy. If we, we're all going to pass that baton, and I always ask, dads the same question: what color baton are you going to pass? What's it going to look like when you pass it along, and what will that legacy be? And so, good word, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you, sir. Appreciate it. And listen, I hope, and we're gonna be vowing to get you on this committee, this voting committee for MLB because it ain't working. Something ain't clicking. Let you in there. Next thing you know, boy, Pat, you talking about legacy? You be like, Pat, when you would decide to vote, yeah, I got Kurt Schilling in, I got Barry Bonds in, I got Bill Murphy in. Yeah, man, got him in.
Right.
Got all the Pete Rose, got him in.
Right.
Yeah, got him in. Of course, Sammy Sosa. Of course.
Awesome, guys. Well, keep it up, man. I appreciate you having me on, Steve. And
it's always a pleasure, Pat. Marvin, any parting words before we let Pat go?
Pat, thankful for your presence. Thanks for coming on and sharing today. And just good luck with everything you have moving forward.
Thank you, Marvin. Appreciate you, Ben, Steve. Guys, it was a joy to be on with you. Let me know.
Likewise, Pat. How I always do this is throw the proverbial microphone over you. Anyone like to thank, shoot out your social sites, let people know where they can get your book, etc. The time is yours, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Well, the book you can buy it. It's on any of the major booksellers, Amazon, obviously. So, yeah, feel free to pick up a copy. It's written for parents and coaches that are involved in youth sports. But that was my COVID project, so it's still pretty fresh. But, man, just thankful to be on with you guys. Thankful for the baseball community. It's amazing to me, Steve. I still get probably 10, 12 letters a week from folks asking for, signatures on cards and talking about, when I played with the Phillies. And such an honor and a blessing to be a part of that. But, appreciate you guys. Anytime you'd like me to come on, just let me know.
Yeah, definitely. I know Scott is itching to get you on, so I'll probably have to give you his email so you guys can work out a time and day to get you on his 108 Stitches baseball talk. But it's always a pleasure catching up with you, hearing your thoughts, about sports in general, and we'll definitely have you back on here in the future, my friend.
Great, guys. Take care. God bless you. Bye-bye. All
right, everyone. That was Pat Combs. Always fun catching up with Pat. I know I'm a little partial to him because he did play for my Phillies, but he always has great insight, and that's why I love picking his brain. What are your guys' thoughts? I know we went all over the place with Pat, but Marvin, what are your thoughts, brother?
Yeah, it's a great interview. This guy's done a lot. He's played Major League Ball. He's produced another, pro baseball player. He's impacting the youth through his literary works. He's in finance. I mean, he's helping NFL guys, move forward. I mean, he's really staying busy, having real impact. I enjoyed the time we had with him today.
Likewise, Ben. What do you think about Pat?
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes when you start talking about what can I do once my post playing career is here, Pat he's a direct example of that. You say, hey, I'm gonna throw my hat in a lot of rings. Everything is not gonna go my way, but the things that do, I mean, he's talking about the fact that what he does in the mental health space, what he does with current and future professional athletes at the quarterback position. what he's doing with his sons, wealth management, talking to these CEOs, helping them grow their companies, and even helping his friend who he mentioned that his wife has breast cancer. We definitely praying for her with that. And I think Pat is a renaissance man. You know, the one thing they say about professional athletes, they say, you guys think you guys can do it all, huh? Yeah, prove me wrong. Prove that I can. You know, so yeah. And like I say, as my father would say, man, listen, while getting older is inevitable, getting old is a choice. Pat chooses not to get old. I'm getting older. I'm not old because I still got a lot to give. So yeah, shout out to him, man. I hope they run into him. I mean, because he seems to have his hat in a lot of rings. And when the greatest thing he said was, man, I don't got to worry about the financial side. I'm good. That's what everybody wants. To say, I ain't got finances, man. If I ain't got to worry about the money coming in, I can really work. I can really show you what I can do. So, man, shout out to him.
Yeah, definitely it's fun always catching up with Pat. Parting shot, you guys, before we wrap this one up. Marvin, then Ben.
Lord have mercy. 19 years married yesterday. That's, I'm thankful for that. No doubt about it. And I encourage all these young couples in love to fight on. Just keep going, y'all. Just keep going.
Keep going. Ben, your thoughts?
Marvin, congratulations to you and the missus, man. I know you and her have been together a long time. She is battle tested. Y'all are battle tested. I'm congratulating.
She's battle tested for sure. No doubt about it.
If you don't think that your wife knew that she was gonna make it through it because of who her partner in life is, like, man, I know who I got next to me. Sometimes when I know that, look, if I don't got it, she said, I know he got it. If I can't do it, he gonna do it. That's how you know, man, y'all. So congratulations to that. I think we need to celebrate that like we celebrate everything else. Hey, man, look, you almost 2 decades. Marriage, that should come with a check. That should come with some type of cruise or something, because that's what we don't do enough. We don't celebrate. Hey, that man said, I chose this woman to walk through life with. So, between you, your wife and my wife, man, we talking about 22 years, man. We doing it. We doing it together. But y'all got the bow cut. We got 3. Y'all got. But it's always a pleasure being on here with Stephen, you, and Marvin, man. I think for me, I wish this for most men, not just former athletes, to have something that is genuinely you, and you just talking your talk a little bit. Yeah, we gonna say stuff that you ain't gonna like, but keep listening, man. Yeah, I'm gonna say stuff you don't agree with. Like I say, you come to the fan in the end for 3 things. You come for the nuance, you come for the nonsense, but you stay because it makes sense. So keep coming.
It's always a pleasure coming on here and having our interviews, having our general sports talk. It's always fun. It's always interesting, and we all have our own unique points of view, and that's what I love sharing with everyone. But other than that, this was another great episode here of the Fade in the End. We keep your guys locked in. We got a bunch of interviews. I do, at least, with some more of these bare knuckle fighters. I do got a fun one with Sam Alvey coming up. I may have a special guest dropping in on that, having a fun conversation with Sam. But other than that, I'm Steve. He's Ben. That's Marvin. We'll catch you guys next week, my friends. Peace on out.